Welcome to CWS Christian Writing and Speaking. I'm your host, Jackie Wilson, and today's guest is a motivational consultant, international speaker, and author who has empowered people globally with his inspirational guidance and tips for self-development. In 2011, he published a book entitled Awaken the Baller Within, which was quickly labeled the athlete's life manual by sports media pundits. And he says this book has been taught in more than a dozen colleges and close to 50 athletic departments and sports camps. He is a mental performance coach. And in April 2019, he published his second book, I Am More Than Enough, to address many of his clients' confidence challenges in their personal and professional life. Today, we are going to talk about how his faith is interconnected through all that he does. Let's welcome to the CWS stage, Mr. Ahmard Vital.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm excited. I mean, you've done so many exciting things in your life. First of all, you are internationally known speaker. You're going around the world, changing people's lives, helping people perform at a higher level. And a lot of people may say, man, how is he able to do that? How did he get here? And so we know there is a God story behind this, and we cannot wait to hear it. Ahmard, will you share your story?
Again, thank you for having me on. And because I want to get straight to the audience and get them right where they are. And it's like the triple D's: death, divorce, and debt are probably the things that brought me like completely full circle. Obviously, the God story that probably shaped most of my life right now was when Awaken the Baller Within was published. That was the week that my father passed, the night after my 33rd birthday. For those of you're an author, fellow author in the room, you get your author copies in early. And so I'd gotten 10 copies in, and this publisher actually gave me hardback copies. And I was excited about that. And so I had a copy ready to go sit down with my father, have this father-son sit down, have some time with one another, and just talk about the new project that I put out. Well, my birthday was on Tuesday. Wednesday, my father was no longer with us, and I was going to bring it to him that Saturday. And I just remember during that time, I was in an interesting place spiritually. I was part of a church that did focus on the Bible, but was very open to other world religions. And at the time, that I thought that that's what was needed for me. And so I had kind of gotten caught up in the secret thoughts or things, manifesting, and all of those things that at that time I didn't realize that it wasn't against the Bible, but there were certain biblical teachings that did not make it into if you just snap your fingers, things are going to happen. And that's just not how God works. And I remember going into that hospital very almost spiritually arrogant, demanding that God make sure that my dad walks out of there. And of course, that didn't end up working out. And so once everything was over, I'm having that conversation. I don't know if any of your audience have had that time where you're literally arguing with God. You're crying out to him, but you're not crying out to him and saying, Lord, save me. You're crying out to him like, Lord, I'm a bit pissed off. And I had that moment outside of the hospital. And I remember I said, God, you said you never leave nor forsake me. And I asked you to simply make sure my father walked out of this hospital. And did you not hear me when I asked that request? And of course, while my sweat and tears and all sorts of things are going on and I'm soaking in all that, I remember the still small voice speaking to me. And he said, my son, I've never left you. I told you I'd be right here. And I just want to inform you that your father is going to walk out of this hospital, but he's going to walk out of this hospital as you. The integrity, the work ethic, the morals, everything, the hard work, everything that you have that he represented is in you. He's given you all of this. So the fact is that you are going to go out there and represent that. Now go make your heavenly father and the father I chose for you proud and go make some things happen. And from that point on, just life really just changed for me. I did have other issues that went on, but that was a major turning point. 33 years old, living the American dream at that point in time. I'd already had a house for 4 years. I was engaged. Everything in life was going well. And it's like, why did my moral barometer get taken from me? So it forced me into that next step of manhood that I didn't think I was ready for. But God was just like, not only are you ready for it, but I'm here for you, right? Because a lot of times we get put into a situation like, well, I'm not prepared for it. And God's like, yeah, no, you're supposed to lean on me, not your own understandings. And all of those things really just was like, a mental freight train just ran me over. And, I awakened from that knowing that through faith is the only way I'm going to get through this. Through God's teachings is the only way I'm going to get through this. Using the examples of the great men in the Bible is the only way I'm going to get through this. And so that just built in me a new way of seeing life. And so I would say that was probably the major turning point for me, is going through that night after my 33rd birthday to come full circle and submit to God more. Not to say that I didn't, what they call, backslide or, fall short many other times, but that was the catalyst that really pushed me out into the journey to wanting to know more and become more.
And how are you implementing that in what you're doing today? I know you help so many people. I know you do ministry work. I know you're still going around the world speaking to people. How did you take those life lessons in that moment, what God taught you, and help other people with it?
First and foremost, obviously leaning on faith, but really humility and just submitting. A lot of times when we're making plans, and I was making a ton of plans, and it was like, you pray and you're asking for something to be blessed. But sometimes in the scheduling and putting things together, you don't realize, sometimes you get so caught up in what you think you're supposed to be doing, and you just don't leave room for God. And that is where I think the turning point for me happened, where it was just like, okay, I'm not going to achieve this without the blessings of my Father. And so my whole flow, my whole work in the way I move had to change, because I'd already been seeing the light. I'd already been stripped of things that I thought I needed, right? And so at that point in time, the faith just got deeper and deeper. And that's been about a 5-step process. And so we're probably on about step 4 or 5 right now, of just leaning in on the idea that, like, no, you don't have this figured out. No, you can't do this alone. No, I need you to go check in. I need you to go to that closet. I need you to go to your secret place, get quiet, and let your Father speak to you. Those are some of the things now when I'm teaching, whether it's young men, whether it's young adults, whether it's somebody in a small business, whether it's at nonprofits, I share with them, like, the first thing every day, the first of all your good goes to God. First fruits. The first of your money, the first of your time, the first of your praise and worship, the first of gratitude, all service, all of that belongs to God. So meaning, when you take that first breath needs to be in gratitude. That is what I try to implement to others as they're going through this journey and trying to figure these things out. And they might be like, well, I tried that and it's not working. Keep doing it, right? Because these things, he's working through you to be able to come more. And we don't get to determine the time when success comes to us. I know we say, I got a 12-week plan here. This is the way we laid this out. No, that's not how this works. And so the God time and my time thing has always been an interesting conflict, but that is one thing I'm learning to lean more on his way.
I love it. And I know one of the things that you do with your clients is help them gain more confidence as they walk into their various endeavors. But from what you just shared with us, it seems like as you're learning those lessons of humility, your confidence is building.
Absolutely. I have a morning routine that I'll be honest in saying that the routine I'm on now is probably 6 months old, 3 to 6 months old, where I have my devotional, I have my word, and then I have my prayer and worship time. And interestingly, we're recording this on a Tuesday. So on Tuesdays, our ministry group, we fast. You can fast all day. You can fast for a particular theme or whatever. I fast the morning. And so that cleanses my body from a standpoint of clearing my mind and saying, all right, God, like it's almost like, what do you have for me today? Like, it's like an open pad. I know I wrote down some things on the pad for us today, but it's like it's like a clean slate, like, God, fill in this pad. And so my confidence is now is built on the faith that, God, my heart, what we're trying to do, but also, Holy Spirit, have your way and showing me something that I've not yet thought of. The confidence I have now that I share with my clients is the idea that, like, whatever you think that you are supposed to be doing, and what you're called to do, and it's awesome and amazing, is like so limited. And I mean like extremely limited. Like, the smartest people on the earth are limited when it comes to grand things that can come about in your life when you say, all right, God, this is what I'm thinking about or whatever, but you take this, you take the wheel, you take my plans, you take my business plan, you take my marketing, you take my sales, and you have your way with this, and you let me know your direction. And so the confidence I have has grown in that department, but that doesn't mean that there's still not a struggle, right? Because you still want to have some kind of control. It's like, hey, God, that my hosting for my website, that bill is due, and we need we need a little bit more resources to take care of some things over here. I think you understand that. So I know it's your time, but can you kind of let me know what we need to be doing in the short term to get this thing taken care of? But the confidence comes in the fact that I know that my father's always going to be there, and even in those trying times, which I've had one of those recently, you still know that he makes all things for good. It's the Romans 8:28. He's going to make good of every situation that's going on in your life. And that is not easy, but it's definitely worth it to lean in on that.
Yeah, I love it. Now, Ahmad, you've written 2 books. Is there another book in the works for you?
The third book came out January of 2023, titled Now What? 5 Steps to Get Up and Create the Most of Life. It's been a good journey with that so far. Looking to implement that in a lot of ways, because what it does is it takes people who have hit rock bottom in some type of way, whether it's family, legal system, death, downsize from the job, or just sometimes you just have back-to-back seasons that didn't go well. Like a sports team that's on a losing streak. And sometimes in life we have those, and we're just looking around like, I got nothing, or you think you have nothing, but yourself is sitting around saying like, there's a lot of mess here, and I have no clue what to do with it. And so I like to help people sift through that. And now what was built on the idea of taking 5 steps and getting someone from what you would call rock bottom, the end is near, just I'm about to give up on life, and you can interpret that any kind of way you want to, but we all know that we have people who have taken that to many of different extremes, and I want to get to them before they just completely throw in the towel. And so Now What does focus on the 5 steps of reflection, decision, planning, acting, and seeking counsel. And so those 5 steps the way it's broken down in there, and I have short sub chapters to be able to, so someone can choose the strategy they want to use from that. You don't have to use all of them, but there's a strategy for each that'll help them through those 5 steps of life.
Yeah, I love it. Ahmad, how can people connect with you?
Easily, ahmardvital.com, ahmardvital.com. And it's Ahmard Vital on all the social media platforms as well. And so they can reach out to me in that way, and love to hear from them. Your audience is a group of believers, and we do want to lean in and be able to help them through this, because even though we are of the Christian faith, we lose faith, unfortunately, and we fall short, and we sometimes forget who's our dad. And so I definitely want people to be able to reach out, and even if it's just a word, a prayer, something of encouragement, I'm definitely open to all of those things.
Yeah, I love it. As we wrap up your interview, Ahmad, what is the one thing that you want to leave with the audience today?
I think I'll leave my audience with a quote from my father, which he shared with me when I was very young. And for whatever reason, I have remembered it through all these years. And here's the quote: live the best life you can, then give it all away. Live the best life you can, then give it all away. Life is not only not to be meant to be lived alone, life is meant to be abundant, and you need an abundance, a community around you at all times. Whatever you do, lead with service and lead with love, because what's the need in accumulating everything if you're not using the gifts, the resources, your talents, your time to embrace and empower others? If you're not making life better for someone else, then what exactly are you doing with your time here? And so giving it all away is every day find opportunities to pour into others. pour into every level, pour into the youth, pour into middle age, pour into the elderly. The bottom line is stay in an attitude of service, servant leadership, and allow yourself to be used and do good for the good of others and not about yourself, because this life we live is not about us. When we go into somewhere, we're just like, okay, whom can I serve in this moment? Whom can I extend a blessing to every day? Not on Sundays, not at Wednesday prayer service, every day. Seek opportunities to bless others.
Love it. CWS audience, you have heard him. I mean, you see the amazing things that he has done with his life. And he is a great example of what you can do with your life. Not saying do exactly what he has done, but whatever God has given to you, first of all, you want to do your best with it. And then you want to pour into other people with what you have. We are not meant to go through life alone, and everybody is meant to be a comfort and a lead and a guide for somebody else who is trying to get to the next level. Whether you see yourself that way or not, it is reality. And especially if you are of the Christian faith, you know that God wants to do more with your life. You have to give your life away to Him so He can show you the opportunities to pour into other people's lives. So I challenge you to go out there and do that. And make sure you respond to this episode, because we want to know exactly what you have decided to do with your life. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And until next time, beautiful people, God bless.